They're systematically targeting.
So you're saying there's no compelling government interest?
I'm saying there's got to be a less discriminatory way to pursue it than frisking every Tom, Dick, and Hamid with a boarding pass.
Good morning, welcome to the vlog. Today's, again, another different vlog. Sometimes I run out of things to talk about, but today, this has arrived from the States, and I want to talk about the t-shirt. And it's to do with the West Wing. So I'm a self-confessed wing nut. I pretty much love the West Wing. I started watching the West Wing, I think, around about 2006. So I was watching the tail end of season 6 into season 7, which is the final season. So I kind of got it the wrong way around. I was kind of introduced to Josh when he was working with Matt Santos, Jimmy Smith's character. So I went back and watched it from the beginning, and Martin Sheen's character, President Bartlett, is kind of the guy. Well, put it this way, the people I know in Westminster who I've worked with before, we've all kind of said if there was a Bartlett who stood for election in this country, we would all give up our jobs and go and work for him. He's just the idealistic president. He is kind of, he's a Nobel laureate winning economist. He's kind, he's incredibly intelligent, he's very funny at times, he's got great comic timing. Of course, he's written by Aaron Sorkin, he's not real. So Bartlett is this idealistic president, and particularly when the West Wing really took hold in the years of George W. Bush, it was kind of what if, and there's so many favourite West Wing moments. There's the very first scene that Martin Sheen does as President Bartlett.
Then what's the first commandment?
I am the Lord your God. Thou shalt worship no other God before me.
There is this amazing one that supposedly Rob Lowe's character Sam Seaborn writes. It's just so powerful, and if you watch the series, every time I watch it I'm choking up watching this particular one, whether it's the music together with it or whatever. It's just an absolutely amazing scene.
The streets of heaven are too crowded with angels tonight. There are students and our teachers and our parents and our friends. The streets of heaven are too crowded with angels. But every time we think we've measured our capacity to meet a challenge, we look up and we're reminded that that capacity may well be limitless.
And within that scene, of course, you have a guy I kind of relate to a little bit, and that's Bruno Gianelli, okay, who kind of plays this election consultant for Bartlett in season 4 in the re-election campaign, but kind of switches sides in the later campaigns. He's kind of, I think, of a bit of a Dick Morris character who was involved in Clinton's midterm election, but was then switched to the Republican Party. But yeah, and you kind of got other characters, so you've got Leo and Toby and CJ. I can relate a little bit to Toby, the melancholy, maybe the beard, I don't know, the kind of principles. But really, the guy I kind of relate to, as I suppose most young guys try to relate to, is Josh. And Josh and his girlfriends. And I've dated a fair few Amy's in my time. I mean, the Amy character here, the feisty woman, and we kind of date those, but really, we all want a Donna in our lives. One of its drawbacks, possibly, if you watched The Thick of It in Britain, or you watch House of Cards, both in Britain and the Kevin Spacey remake, they're probably more accurate. They're probably a more cynical, more accurate portrayal of politics as it really happens, rather than The West Wing, which is very idealistic. It's wonderful. I mean, as I said before, for me, it's the greatest TV series of all time. I'm now on my 4th watch through the box set, I think. That's how good it is. You can go back and watch it over and over and over again. I'm currently in season 5, which is the weakest of the 7 seasons. Mainly it was just after Aaron Sorkin had left. Some of it's a bit fudgy, some of it's a bit... it's not that well thought out, some of it. But, I mean, it's still an incredible TV program. It deals with some great issues. I've gone back, I'm now reading George Stephanopoulos' book, and kind of you see a number of the plot lines that actually really happened in the Clinton presidency are dealt with in The West Wing. You know, they kind of put their own spin on it. So it's really interesting. It fires you up. It makes you want to get involved in politics. It makes you long for an idealistic leader who will, who's clever, funny, a little humble, but also at the right times arrogant. And yeah, all those things that I guess as we approach a Donald Trump presidency are going to come back in the limelight again, probably even more so. Maybe we'll end up with something even better than The West Wing now. I suppose Obama embodies a lot of the Bartlett thing. He certainly embodies what happens in later seasons with Jimmy Smith's character Matt Santos. In fact, David Axelrod actually said to the guys on The West Wing, you know, because the Santos campaign happened in kind of 2006 and Obama, of course, was 2007, 2008, and it was kind of like Axelrod Axelrod in his book says he said to, I can't remember the person on The West Wing, but kind of, we are living out your scripts. You know, what happened with Obama, it was kind of life imitating art, as happened in The Thick of It in a more perverse kind of sections. In the last series of The Thick of It, it was amazing how you know, the Thick of It would come up with an idea and a week later the government were coming up with the same idea. If you really are a wingnut like me and you haven't already checked out the West Wing Weekly podcast, which is where I ordered this fantastic t-shirt from, and you may find out what that means. If you haven't listened to the podcast, you should subscribe. It's brilliant. It's Joshua Malina and another guy. Joshua Malina plays Will Bailey from season 4, I think, yeah, because he comes on board after the election. It's amazing, the podcast. They've had some great guests. They've had Dule Hill, who plays Charlie Young. They've had Janelle Mooney, who plays Donna Moss, and Emily Proctor, who plays Ainsley Hayes. They've had the cameramen on there talking about the very famous things that the West Wing pioneered, the walk and talk, the kind of innovative movement with the Steadicam. And yeah, loads of other things. It's, if you're into your West Wing, get subscribing to it. I love listening to it. Normally, if I'm travelling into London in the car, the podcasts are about kind of anything from about 40 minutes to an hour long. And yeah, I really enjoy listening to them. They pass the time really well, and you know, bring back some great memories of watching each particular show. And then offer you some other things. You know, it's kind of sometimes a high-level debate. I mean, the other one was from, I think, season 1, episode 3, with the proportional response episode, where they go into a debate about that. It's fascinating. And, you know, I think if you watch The West Wing, you can't fail to start to be idealistic about politics, to be inspired about politics. I mean, your guy Bruno here, you know, kind of, that's what I was sort of doing in the last general election campaign with Dan Grief, if you watch mine and Dan's video up there. But yeah, that's my little tirade for today. Totally different, nothing musical. I am going to get on with, where are we going? I've got my practice to do in a minute. I've got students to teach today. And then we're going to take the kids out somewhere later on. But that's my little vlog episode on the West Wing. And if you are a fellow West Winger, please click a like. Please, let's have some comments going about the West Wing. There's loads of Facebook groups as well. Well, not loads, but there's a few Facebook West Wing groups that I'm in as well. So it's interesting, and I think we have to, you know, kind of find solace in these kind of things when the reality is so dreadful. And I do wonder what we'll get next if we're now faced with this Donald Trump presidency and Brexit and everything else like that. But, you know, hope comes at the end of it, and I suppose the only thing I can say now is, what's next?